there, and there are a lot of skills out there too that the present journalists just don't have, for instance, and there are things that add value to what readers want, and once there's value there, then there's a relationship to be had for sure. So I definitely think that the academic side could be linked more and should be linked more to the media right now. It's just a matter of finding out how it could help, help the experience of the readers and give them knowledge that would really, benefit them in the long run.
And hence the point of this. Well, I was just going to say that's hence the point of the journalism program. If we can get a commitment from practicing, I'm sorry, it's the point of the journalism program that if we can get commitment from practicing journalists to either offer internships, shadowing, or even coming to tutor or lecture within the journalism program, that can help bridge the gap that we're talking about and address some of the challenges that we're addressing today, or that we've identified today.
Okay, but I want to suggest there's a more specific way you can do that. It will have to come from the scholarship side, which is your own ability to transform your materials, your research findings, and the things that the information you've acquired, and enter the fray. You need to publish, and you need to publish in popular fora, not simply in academic journals. And when there are issues, I think in every significant issue that develops, we should hear your voice. When there's an issue about the Caribbean, we should hear the international relations people should come forward. When there is an issue on sport, whether it's it's a performance of the West Indies team, whether it's the Pro League and why it's not working. We have at the University of West Indies, we have a whole department, a whole school, and we should hear your voices, and we should get to know who you are, and the public, you should be a journalist at that point. And what you are bringing is information, you are bringing information that has been studied, and therefore open up yourself to challenge and so on. I think that will become part of the national conversation, and the media will respond to it.
I'd like to ask Ms. Maharaj and the panel to accommodate one more question from Mr. Keith Joseph as we bring this afternoon session to a close. So one more question.
Mr. Joseph, you have the last word.
Thank you for your gift, sir. My name is Keith Joseph. I'm wondering, from a sociological standpoint, largely, whether we are ignoring the role of culture. Lasana made the point a while ago about whether we are ready for this, whether we are set for that, and to what extent we are really not giving due credit to the point being made about journalism being a business, and he who pays the piper calls the tune. Because the issue the moderator raised about the story on Brian Lara is quite interesting in terms of the reaction, because the reaction from the fans, those fans may well have been the individuals who would have loved a story that went another way. And I want to compare that with the way in which the US media treated Michael Jordan. It's only after he stopped playing that you started hearing the dark side of Michael Jordan. It wasn't that he wasn't into much of the shenanigans of others, but in a sense, the media fed off of his popularity and created and multiplied that audience that wanted to hear more and more about his gift as a star athlete. And to that extent, to some extent, they did that with Lance Armstrong. And at a certain time says, okay, because the media has the capacity to make or break individuals. And so I take the point that Alvin was making about what do we do as journalists and how do we sell journalism? Because at the end of the day, you can, in fact, by your gift of writing, create the audience that you want, stimulate the audience that you want. But are you prepared to do it in the face of the challenges of those who run the media and who own the media and who may not have the vision that you have for what is possible in sport and through sport? And consequently, at the end of the day, you decide which side of your bread is buttered. And so you throw in the towel and say, look, I'll play ball because that's what puts bread on the table at home. But really and truly, as the moderator says, perhaps if you do the kind of journalism that is required to a particular segment of the population, it may give fuel to what you're trying to bring out. And sometimes the journalists are partisan to an audience, which they feel will provide the kind of support they need to keep it sustained. So I think that we need to look at the whole cultural component and the cultural environment in which you operate, and the extent to which you can perhaps use your influence as writers to transform that audience, to impact that audience, because there is that dynamic interplay that you must have in any event. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we can have some closing comments, starting with Tina. And you could respond to that as well.
There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that media is evolving. And we, in the Caribbean and in Trinidad and Tobago in particular, cannot escape the realities of that. No longer are we competing within Trinidad and Tobago. We are competing on the international market. Like I said before, those of us who love sport have access to every single international sporting event in the world in our bedrooms. The challenge facing us here as sports writers and a sporting fraternity in Trinidad and Tobago are numerous. Perhaps too numerous to mention. But as I said in my opening comments, there is a dire need for help. Whatever institutions, whether it's government, whatever can provide us with that help, I'm sure every single sporting personality, everyone with a stake in sport would welcome it. Thank you very much.
Yes, as Valentino said, we're all in this together. Right? It makes little sense if I'm the best writer in the Pro League, for instance, if the Pro League has absolutely zero respect in the Caribbean or the CONCACAF, or if you're the best cricket writer there is, but the West Indies cricket team just happens to be a joke at that point. It doesn't really help you that much, you know. So that's one reason for us to really want to push to improve sport, you know, because really it benefits even us as the reporters. In terms of budding writers out there, people who want to get into the business, I would say that even though it isn't a lucrative field, really, journalism, once you're good at something, you could make a good living doing it as well. You know, you just have to be better than everyone else at some aspect or the other. You know, as they say, a unique selling point. So once you're committed, once you put in the work and so on, then don't fear. You'll be able to make a decent living out of it. And of course, with the online world right now, it's much cheaper for you to be your own publisher and everything else. So I would say, get trained, and it's good that UE is helping in that way, and hopefully you can come and add to the sporting world. Thanks.
Thank you. I would just like to add that what we have identified today are a number of challenges. And what we are now charged with, each and every one of us, is to offer or to think about and acknowledge some solutions. And again, I'm urging support for the journalism program and to marry within an interdisciplinarity way journalism education and a number of different challenges that were put forth and identified throughout the conference. What I'm hoping is that we can move away from not only identifying challenges, but offering solutions. And I think we do a great job of talking about what's wrong, but how do we take what's wrong, look at it, analyze it, and move forward, and chart the course and chart a new course for how to correct these issues and have a better, more sustainable, more effective journalistic experience, particularly in sports. One of the ways to do that is through the journalism program. So hopefully we can get some people interested and some commitments among the practicing journalists, the sports photographer. Let me get your card. All of these things. Thank you.
Well, outside of our panel, I don't know if there are any sports journalists here covering this, because the news story would be tomorrow that Tino Singh has called for help for the meeting, and that various other things. The truth is that news is such an easy business because news makes itself, and so you can do news badly and still do well, and you can do it brilliantly if you choose to, and do great things. But one of the biggest news stories in the country is clearly the state of the media. So I want to, for my closing contribution, I want to suggest that when you're about to launch your journalism program again, that you do some focus on the state of the media.
Sure.
And we can do some research before that period. So
No problem.
thank you all very much. Okay.